Let's talk to Kevin Tripp, though, news reporter at KABC Radio in Los Angeles, California. Kevin, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Mike.
We've been watching this drone story with some interest over here because, like you guys, I don't know whether you're as confused as I am, it's kind of hard to believe that the government doesn't seem to know who's behind it and who's doing what. And Donald Trump has been talking about it as well. But basically, we don't seem to be any more the wiser, do we?
No, we don't. And the drone sightings that they're seeing in the U.S., in particular on the East Coast, in the New York metropolitan area, in particular in New Jersey, just to the south of New York, are a bit puzzling because there's been thousands of reported sightings. Some of them obviously are overlapping, and some of them can be explained away as aircraft or helicopters, but some of them are curious. They're, unmanned drones of some type, sometimes very large drones. Some drones could be 6 feet across, and there's a lot of them. And people are seeing these objects, and the government is saying, well, don't worry, it's nothing nefarious. It's not a foreign actor. We've got it. Don't worry. And we're starting to hear from not just citizens, but politicians, governors, members of Congress who are saying enough is enough. We want to take measures to protect our citizens. So we're seeing the federal government finally in the last 24 hours saying, we're going to give New York State and New Jersey State and other states more technology to try to better detect these drones and maybe even try to defend against them should that be necessary.
And people who know more about these things than I do tell me that you can track these drones, generally speaking. They've got some kind of GPS capability, so you should be able to see where they're coming from, where they're being launched from, where they're going back to. I mean, it shouldn't be that hard. I mean, that's basically what Donald Trump's saying, that they must know where these drones are coming from. They just don't want to tell you.
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting things. These essentially have a digital license plate, as they like to say. They're emitting a radio signal which says, here I am, here's my ID, I'm here for everyone to see. So they should be able to detect what some of these drones are doing. Some of them act like normal drones that look like a hobbyist could be flying them around. There's a handful, though, and not just in New York and New Jersey, but in Ohio and Oregon, other parts of the country, that have been acting more suspiciously around sensitive military sites. There's one case that hasn't been discussed a lot. It should be, because it's one of the few cases where everything's sort of been revealed. There was a Chinese national who was arrested and is now being prosecuted by the federal government, who was flying a drone several hundred feet above Vandenberg Space Force Base in California, which is one of the most sensitive bases where intercontinental ballistic missiles are tested, where spy satellites are launched. So that's one case, just one, where there really was a Chinese espionage case, allegedly, and that man's being prosecuted. These other cases, though, these thousands of reported sightings on the East Coast in particular, still largely unexplained, although some explained away as mistaken aircraft sightings or helicopter sightings.
Yeah. And is drone activity something that people do now in America as a general rule? I mean, do you see a lot of people putting drones up just sort of recreationally, if you like?
There are. There's about 1 million drones that are registered with the Federal Aviation Administration, the FAA. So there's a lot of these fairly substantial drones, not just little toys you play with in the backyard, but pretty big drones that people use. And over the last 15 months, it's become legal to use those drones, those registered drones, at night, which could be a significant factor when we're seeing more and more drone activity at night. Some of these are probably perfectly legitimate hobbyists. Granted, they're causing concern. One of these groups of people was actually caught just a few nights ago in Boston, a few hundred miles to the north of New Jersey. They were operating a drone dangerously close to Logan International Airport, which is the major airport for Boston. They were apprehended because of that dangerous situation. So it'll be interesting.
It's interesting to watch how it's all going to go. Great to talk to you, Kevin Tripp. Thank you very much indeed.